It is more important to be in the room than it is to even be good at your job. And so the 20-60-20 rule resets. Once you sign up a client, once you get the sale, that's when the value building really starts. I had lunch with a realtor yesterday and we brought up the concept that 20% of people you meet with will always buy from you. They're a fan, they love it, they get it, they like buying things. 20% of the people you meet with will never buy. I hate salespeople. I don't buy anything the first time I meet, whatever. And then the 60% in the middle is really what defines talented and hardworking salespeople that can build a business long term. It's that 60% in the middle that could be a sale or might not be, depending on what you say and what you do. And it occurred to me that we know this principle, or we've been taught this principle from the standpoint of the first initial sale, but we don't necessarily apply that to an ongoing sale or repeat business or constantly re-earning a client's business. But it really does reset and apply to those numbers. Now look, when you are first getting a client, I've said this and I firmly believe this when it comes to branding, marketing, it is more important to be in the room than it is to even be good at your job. And what I mean by that is being constantly in the presence of your prospects, the people that can buy from you, constantly being in front of them is more important than them hearing that you did a good job or the marketing that says you get the job done on time. Just constantly being in front of them. And here's an example that I use to prove my point. I get done working out in Indianapolis, and on my way home, there's a grocery store that I stop by almost every single day, even though I really don't like this grocery store. I actually hate it. It's the food is, okay. It's not terrible. The pickings, I got to really hunt for like the good fresh food, but it is there. But it's not like everything's super fresh. And then the service is atrocious. 1 star. I was checking out and the kid that was behind the cash register literally had goldfish. Okay, a bag of goldfish, or a package of goldfish, and is literally holding it over her mouth while she's checking me out. Crumbs are getting all over my avocados, and I was bewildered. I'm just looking at her because I thought I was like on candid camera, if that's still a thing, or Ashton Kutcher is about to pop out and say, "Gotcha, I've been punked." But no, it's just that bad. And I look over at the manager who's in his mid-50s, the GM, and he literally shrugs at me. Like, he looks at me like, what are you going to do? We can't find talent. I'm actually thinking about quitting myself. Horrible service. But I continue to go to this grocery store frequently because it's unbelievably easy to use because it's on my way. In fact, it's the only grocery store on my way within miles. It would take me completely out of the way to go to a different grocery store. And what that taught me is that location and being in the room, being in close proximity trumps a lot of pain points that I would have otherwise experienced or not gone through with because it's so easy to use. So if we're salespeople, what we can learn from that is be in the room. That's the first step, okay? So then something happens where we get a client, and sometimes we think, okay, we've got this client now. And real producers, if we sign on a client, right, and we're explaining marketing and branding, for some reason we think, like if you look at this little analogy here, they start at a 0, and we think as soon as we sign them up as a client, cool, they're a 10. They understand the ROI. They understand that it takes a while for this branding to take off, for it to work. But what we should realize is that it's actually a journey. As soon as we sign them up, they're at like a 1 or 2. Their value's at an all-time high, but they don't truly understand the value. In fact, someone might still be thinking, shoot, I'm going to throw an ad in this magazine and get a call tomorrow. And unless we sit down and have that ROI discussion, it's actually going to come back hurting us because we had improper expectations with that client. And so the 20-60-20 rule resets. Once you sign up a client, they're not in the 20% of people that always say yes just because they said yes. It's possible they're in that middle grouping, that 60% that you have to explain and sell and do a good job of promoting to get the sale. Then Once you have clients, let's say you have 100 clients, now it resets once they become your client, because now 20% of people just like you, they like the program, they like the product, and they're going to renew, or they're going to continue to use you over and over again, regardless of if you screw things up, right? The 20% just loves you. Then you have 20% of people that you did sign up or that you did sign on as a client that for whatever reason just aren't ever going to use you again. Maybe they're not even going to, if you're a realtor, maybe they're just never even going to buy a house or sell a house again. And then that 60% again is the group of clients, and in this case, really prospects that you need to focus on and give all your efforts to. And realize that if you don't continue to sell over time, they're not going to remember what the value was in the first place. I remember selling closing gifts. I would do my dog and pony show for like 6 minutes, and then I'd sell from the cards that I got of the people that were interested, and I'd have a really high sales rate. And then I'd realize that occasionally clients that I would have would just not buy from me, not even pick up the phone, or like kind of go missing. And then the next time I spoke at that sales meeting, I would get an order from them again, sometimes years later, because they lost the value along the way. Maybe not even my fault, but they just never opened an email or took my phone call. But I'm the one that suffered because I didn't bring enough value for them to pick up the phone and reorder. And so if you're listening to this, my challenge to you is to really think about your database and the people that you are currently working with, and realize that once you get the sale, that's when the value building really starts. Like, cool, you built enough value so that you actually got someone to say, yes, I want to work with you one time. Well, now you need to earn their business over and over and over again. And guess what? Once you earn their business to where they're in that top 20%, you can start screwing up and they're not just going to leave you for the next guy. That's when you start to duplicate clients. So step one is get client. And to do that, the most important thing is you got to be in the room. Step two is get that client to use you over and over again, so that step three happens, which is now you duplicate that one client into many other clients. Because the best testimonial from a client is giving you more people to call because you did such a good job. Step one, get clients. Step two, get that client to use you many times. Step three, make more clients out of that one single client. 20-60-20 rule. Think about your business right now. If you're listening to this, maybe do a quick little scan of the last 100 people you worked with or the last 100 sales that you made, and figure out where everyone falls and really earn the business of that 60%.